Shalom, Israel. Well, here we go again. They telling it to us right in our face, and the majority of people are not seeing it. It's flying right over their heads. They just had a World Summit meeting on climate control, and I'm gonna go through pieces of it because it's too long, and try to break some of it down. Now, back in October 2019, they had a meeting on what happened last year and what's happening now. So the videos I'm gonna show you, it's only two. It's only for training purposes only. Now, what they did in October, it was called Event 201. You can look it up for yourself when they had a meeting again with certain particular world leaders on what was going to take place. And then it happened around February, March 2020. Of course, you know what happened after that. I don't have to go into it. Now they're doing it again. They're having another meeting. And this is over climate control. The main objective that they want to do is save the planet. Now, when Bush was in office, they came to the president, they had a meeting, and they didn't get the funds they needed to try and save the planet. And I'm going to show you why they're saying Earth is having all these hiccups. They're going to show you in a short film why Earth is having so many hiccups. What I mean by that is hurricane, tornadoes, floods, and so on in areas that never had floods or hurricane, fires, and this and that. So something has to be done. Somebody has to go, either people or something has to be done to the planet. Now let's go quickly to the video. And when this is over, like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Fair use. I'm going to talk as we go through it. This is a long meeting, so I'm just going to make it real short. Try to get to what they saying is causing all these global disasters.
To build coalitions, to create the financial and technological conditions to accelerate the decarbonization of the economy, as well as the phase out of coal. These coalitions are meant to support the large emitters that face more difficulties in the transition from grey to green, for them to be able to do it. Let's have no illusions. If commitments fall short by the end of this COP, countries must revisit their national climate plans and policies, not every 5 years, every year, every moment, until keeping to 1.5 degrees is assured.
Fair use.
Until subsidies to fossil fuels end. Until there is a price on carbon. Until coal is phased out. But we also need greater clarity. There is a deficit of credibility and a surplus of confusion over emissions reductions and net zero targets with different meanings and different metrics. That is why, beyond the mechanisms already established in the Paris Agreement, I'm announcing today that we'll establish a group of experts to propose clear standards to measure and analyze net zero commitments from non-state actors. Second, we must do more to protect vulnerable communities from the clear and present dangers of climate change. Over the last decade, nearly 4 billion people suffered climate-related disasters. That devastation will only grow. But adaptation works. Early warning systems save lives. Climate-smart agriculture and infrastructure save jobs. And all donors must allocate half their climate finance to adaptation. And public and multilateral development banks should start as soon as possible.
Now, I'm going to read this at the bottom right here. It says climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns, mainly caused by human activities, especially the burning of fossil fuels. So people is the cause of all these disasters. I'm gonna pass him up because I want to get to the video.
Third, this COP must be a moment of solidarity. From the clear and present trust and credibility. I welcome the efforts led by Canada and Germany to help us get there. It is an important first step, but it delays the largest support for years, and it doesn't give clear guarantees. And beyond 100 billion, developing countries need far greater resources to fight COVID-19, to build resilience, and pursue sustainable development.
It's coming up.
Those suffering the most, namely least developed countries and small island developing states, need urgent funding, more public climate finance, more overseas development aid, more grants, easier access to funding. And multilateral development banks must work much more seriously at mobilizing greater investment through blended and private finance. Excellencies, the sirens are sounding. Our planet is talking to us and telling us something.
He said, our planet is talking to us. So their concern is planet. I thought the planet was the most high concern, but they're saying they need to come with a solution because the planet is talking to them. These are world leaders.
And so are people everywhere. Climate action tops the list of people's concerns across countries, age, and gender. We must listen, and we must act, and we must choose wisely. On behalf of these and future generations, I urge you, choose ambition, choose solidarity, choose to safeguard our future and save humanity, and I thank you.
Now they finna show the videos. All of them people you see have not taken the bowl of grits. They have not.
There will now be a short film, a message from our planet to all of us, Earth to COP.
Commuter chaos this morning and delays for the day as high levels of water brought services to a standstill. The Metrobus says we should be braced for more of this. Forget summer, they say. It's going.
Fair use. See, this is what scriptures call judgment, but they're saying we're the cause of this.
Более 70 лет, но все еще загрязненность воздуха остается основной.
If you get average American, that carbon footprint is about 16 tons of carbon emissions.
What about COP26? What is COP?
The potential threat to the surrounding natural environment. You can see the ocean. The UN is calling the world first climate change fund.
Frequency of
Scientists are correct in their fears for the
sure sign of climate change.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Because the more we take, the less there is for future generations.
Fair use.
Even on our warming planet, there are reasons for hope.
We need to have the courage to try.
More jobs created in the green economy.
Climate change is not the problem. Climate change is the expression of the problem.
Renewable energy technologies to fundamentally transform the energy system are at our disposal.
So how do we begin the process of reversing global warming?
We need innovation, and there's going to be
People are starting to buy electric cars and
launch the largest tree plantation campaign.
Remember now, they're saying we causing this by fossil fuels, which is burned in your vehicles, your trucks, 18-wheelers, your factories. All this is worldwide. Because of that, we're causing this. Remember what I read at the bottom. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns, mainly caused by human activities.
Cheaper to build offshore wind farms.
Develop a climate-altering crop.
Continually reinvesting in our grasslands. We are looking down for
A critical moment that we cannot not be part of.
enormous opportunity in agriculture.
We can become stubborn optimists.
26 is one of the most important diplomatic gatherings in
But humanity already knows what to do.
Do with it tonight, but we can set that end date.
We've got a long way to go.
But there is momentum.
Roll up your sleeves and do it.
See, people, you got to pay attention to these world leaders, these meetings that they have. Nothing happens, just to be happening. The Most High uses it when he punishes mankind. He is in control of the weather and anything that happens, any kind of natural disaster. But they're putting themselves in the place of God, who you call God. And they have to come to a decision. Now listen to the next guy. This is the guy you want to pay attention to.
Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, Lords, Ladies and Gentlemen, please welcome His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales.
Listen to this guy. They keep saying he has trillions at his disposal. I want to know, who is this he?
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us just how devastating a global cross-border threat can be. Climate change and biodiversity loss are no different. In fact, they pose an even greater existential threat, to the extent that we have to put ourselves on what might be called a warlike footing. Having myself had the opportunity of consulting many of you over these past 18 months, I know you all carry a heavy burden on your shoulders, and you do not need me to tell you that the eyes and hopes of the world are upon you, to act with all dispatch and decisively, because time has quite literally run out.
Time has ran out. Here's my question. Out for what? What is he talking about? Time has run out. Now, we are in the book of Revelation, so those of you that has any kind of religion in your brain, you know what he's talking about. And you Israelites, I know you know, but you Christians, that went right over your head. Time has run out, and they started it a year ago for this new world order.
The recent IPCC report gave us a clear diagnosis of the scale of the problem. We know what we must do. With a growing global population creating ever-increasing demand on the planet's finite resources.
See, he's telling you that there's too many people and something has to be done. It's called a depopulation. Depopulation.
We have to reduce emissions urgently and take action to tackle the carbon already in the atmosphere, including from coal-fired power stations. Putting a value on carbon, thus making carbon capture solutions more economical, is therefore absolutely critical. Similarly, after billions of years of evolution, nature is our best teacher. In this regard, restoring natural capital, accelerating nature-based solutions, and leveraging the circular bioeconomy will be vital to our efforts. As we tackle this crisis, our efforts cannot be a series of independent initiatives running in parallel. The scale and scope of the threat we face call for a global systems-level solution based on radically transforming our current fossil fuel-based economy to one that is genuinely renewable and sustainable.
Now, in order to do that, you're going to have, because we control fossil fuels, so they're not going to take cars off the street, but you can take people off the street. Certificate of virus, identification, depopulation. Take a letter from each word, the first letter from each word I just said. The first letter from each word I just said. This is how they are getting rid of the population or reducing the population to get to the type of world government that they are talking about.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector.
Military style, that means military eventually be running the government. You're going to see military on the streets, not just this country, but other countries.
With trillions at his disposal.
Now, did you hear that? I'm going to back it up. With trillions at his disposal. Who is he? Let me back it up. I want you to hear that. Listen.
To the extent that we have to put ourselves on what might be called a warlike footing. Having myself had the opportunity of consulting many of you over these past 18 months, I know you all carry a heavy burden on your shoulders, and you do not need me to tell you that the eyes and hopes of the world are upon you, to act with all dispatch and decisively, because time has quite literally run out. The recent IPCC report gave us a clear diagnosis of the scale of the problem. We know what we must do. With a growing global population creating ever-increasing demand on the planet's finite resources, we have to reduce emissions urgently and take action to tackle the carbon already in the atmosphere, including from coal-fired power stations. Putting a value on carbon, thus making carbon capture solutions more economical, is therefore absolutely critical. Similarly, after billions of years of evolution, nature is our best teacher. In this regard, restoring natural capital, accelerating nature-based solutions, and leveraging the circular bioeconomy will be vital to our efforts. As we tackle this crisis, our efforts cannot be a series of independent initiatives running in parallel. The scale and scope of the threat we face call for a global systems-level solution based on radically transforming our current fossil fuel-based economy to one that is genuinely renewable and sustainable. So, ladies and gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector, with trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect.
Who are they worshiping? Those are all your world leaders. Okay? So who is he? We're not united. All the nations are not under one government yet. So who is he talking about when he says he?
Beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition. So, how do we do it? First, how do we get the private sector all pulling in the same direction? After nearly 2 years now of consultation, CEOs have told me that we need to bring together global industries to map out, in very practical terms, what it will take to make the transition. We know from the pandemic that the private sector can speed up timelines dramatically when everyone agrees on the urgency and the direction. So each sector needs a clear strategy to speed up the process of getting innovations to market. Second, who pays and how? We need to align private investment behind these industry strategies.
Fair use.
To help finance the transition efforts, which means building the confidence of investors so that the financial risk is reduced. Crucially, investment is needed to help transition from coal to clean energy. If we can develop a pipeline of many more sustainable and bankable projects at a sufficient scale, it will attract greater investment. Third, which switches do we flick to enable these objectives?
Which switches do we flick? What do we need to do? They flicked a switch last year. Okay, what do we need to do next? You got to pay attention to these people, man. You got to pay attention when these people talk.
On the urgency and the direction. So each sector needs a clear strategy to speed up the process of getting innovations to market. Second, who pays and how? We need to align private investment behind these industry strategies to help finance the transition efforts, which means building the confidence of investors so that the financial risk is reduced. Crucially, investment is needed to help transition from coal to clean energy. If we can develop a pipeline of many more sustainable and bankable projects at a sufficient scale, it will attract greater investment. Third, which switches do we flick to enable these objectives?
Which switches do we flick? I'm gonna tell you, people. If you don't go to your scriptures to follow along with this world government, you are going to be lost. Because to the average person, it seems like a normal concern. And nothing he's saying is against humanity. But in order to get that type of world government, you're going to have to reduce the population. That's just plain and simple.
More than 300 of the world's leading CEOs and institutional investors have told me that alongside the promises countries have made, their nationally determined contributions, they need clear market signals agreed globally so that they have the confidence to invest without the goalposts suddenly moving. This is the framework I've offered in the Terra Carta roadmap created by my...
Did he say Terra cards? If he said Terra cards, that's those big square cards you flip over and it has all those demonic pictures on it. Now, I'm not sure if that's what he said. I'm not really quite sure.
Third, which switches do we flick to enable these objectives? More than 300 of the world's leading CEOs and institutional investors have told me that alongside the promises countries have made, their nationally determined contributions, they need clear market signals agreed globally so that they have the confidence to invest without the goalposts suddenly moving. This is the framework I've offered in the Terra Carta roadmap created by my Sustainable Markets Initiative with nearly 100 specific actions for acceleration. Together, we are working to drive trillions of dollars in support of transition across 10 of the most emitting and polluting industries. They include energy, agriculture, transportation, health systems, and fashion. The reality of today's global supply chains means that industry transition will affect every country and every producer in the world. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that the private sector is ready to play its part and to work with governments to find a way forward. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, many of your countries I know are already feeling the devastating impact of climate change through ever-increasing droughts, mudslides, floods, hurricanes, cyclones and wildfires, as we've just seen on that terrifying film. Any leader who has had to confront such life-threatening challenges knows that the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of prevention. So I can only urge you, as the world's decision makers, to find practical ways of overcoming differences so we can all get down to work together to rescue this precious planet and save the threatened future.
The rest to rescue this precious planet. Not people, planet. I thought the planet was the Most High's job.
Of our young people. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, when he talks in private sectors, those are all your small businesses. But your investors are your billionaires. Here's your billionaires. They need billionaires to invest. Investors. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Let's find his investors. No, that ain't it. I had one. I think I lost it. That's Steven. I had one to show you. Well, I don't see it. I don't see it now. I figured that was going to happen. Okay, I can't find it, and I don't want to keep going. Okay, I don't want to waste no more time on this. But there was one on Bill Gates. Here's one where he's talking about, because this guy is telling you what's coming.
Bill Gates has cautioned that countries must spend billions in research and development to prepare for future.
Okay, I'll let you see this one.
Bill Gates has cautioned that countries must spend billions in research and development to prepare for future pandemics and smallpox terror strikes. During a policy exchange discussion with Jeremy Hunt, the head of the Health Select Committee, Mr. Gates issued the warning. Microsoft's founder also proposed the creation of a new multi-billion-dollar World Health Organization pandemic task force. While the study may be costly, he believes it will lead to further breakthroughs, such as the eradication of flu and the common cold. He claims that nations such as the United States and the United Kingdom would have to invest tens of billions to support the study. I'm hoping to publish a book saying we are ready for the next pandemic in 5 years, he remarked, but it'll need tens of billions in R&D. The US and the UK will be part of it.
See, these are your investors. Those are your investors. And what better way to reduce the population than a germ warfare? I just wanted to share this with you because I know most of you, especially black folks, have no idea that meeting went on. Let's see. So that's all I'm on. 4.
Nobody likes floppy things. We the people holsters have created a hard, sturdy belt to keep everything.
Good. That's all I'm going to share with you, people. I'm going to say shalom to you. I just wanted to bring that up. I thought maybe that'd be kind of important that they would have such a meeting about the planet. And in order to get the planet to where they need it, you're going to have to reduce the population because we're overcrowded, as they say. I think it's more land than people. But, you know, it's the Most High's job. When he brings punishment, the Most High have always used natural disasters. You know, he did it before the flood. He did it after the flood. He did it with Noah. You know, he did it when we came out of Egypt. You know, us, the 12 tribes of Israel, we came out of Egypt. He parted the Red Sea. The Most High does all of that. But for some reason, we living in the Revelation, they saying we're the cause of all of those disasters that is happening around the world. So I just thought maybe you'd like to see it. I'm going to say shalom to you. If you like what you heard, subscribe. If you don't, give me the thumbs up. If not, give me the thumbs down. It doesn't matter. I'm going to bring out this information regardless. Take us home, Ronnie Smith.